everyone. And so it's Wednesday night, a little bit after 9, and we are here. We are ready to do what we do best, which is this. Let's get it. Let's go. We're in beast mode Wednesday nights at 9. And so it's always a hype session, always motivational. And tonight we have with us a lovely guest by the name of Dr. Brent Lewis. You guys, this is one of those people that I talk about. They're on my team. They're in my family. They're in my corner. That they are a big support. Dr. Brent Lewis, he's an awesome individual, and so I'm so honored due to his schedule, which he'll highlight some of the things that he does in his profession, that he had time to take out, especially in the middle of the week, late at night. Sometimes it might be past bedtime, I don't know. And I can joke with him like that because we're not just friends, and but we're a family, and he really is my brother, so to speak, or first cousins. But we were raised because we're so close, and a lot of the things I've done in life was kind of modeled after some of the things that he's done. But before we get into an introduction tonight of Dr. Brent Lewis, a short, small introduction, because he's going to type it up and chat about himself. I just want to highlight some things. So it's April. This year's moving by super, super fast. And so the theme for this month is Amplified April. Amplified means to enhance the sound of, to turn things up. And so each guest this month, you're going to notice that they started at one point in life, and now they're at a place where they're amplifying those skill sets and those things that they started out with and putting it at its maximum potential. And so that's no different than how we always talk about faith, and we're transitioning it from the noun to the verb. We're making it action. We're stepping out on faith. We're doing what it is that we need to do. Today, it's funny. This is the first Wednesday in the month of April. It is also to marks anniversary date that one of the leaders in this country, not as a president, but a civil rights leader, was assassinated, Dr. Martin Luther King. And so then not just him, but Dr. Maya Angelou, today is her birthday. And so it's no coincidence that we're celebrating three doctors, the one that's on the guest, the civil rights leader, and also to Dr. Maya Angelou, who's known so much for her works. And so what I want to do to kickstart things off tonight, because, I love highlighting people that have stepped out on faith, especially those that stepped out in the form of civil rights and so many other things, and being advocates for different things, by just going over some of the things that they maybe have stated that left marks on the world. And so Martin Luther King, one of his quotes, there are so many great things that he said, but one of his quotes is, "I look to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. To take the first step in faith, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." So it is very important. We always talk about kings and we talk about tribes and being a unit and moving forward in life. So it's always important to embrace one another and for our differences, whether it's skin color, hair color, and everything else. And to be a beast and to be in beast mode, you have to eat it all up. You have to knock down the statistics of everything and the stereotypes of everything, and really focus on the spirituality of what it is that you're set out to do in life. And so even just moving from there, Dr. Maya Angelou, one of her quotes, and she has so many as well. She's known for her poems, her literature, so many great things. She states, "It is time for parents to teach young people early on that in diversity there is beauty and there is strength. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. A bird doesn't sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song." And so knowing your purpose and identifying so much, and that quote to me sticks out a lot. Particularly tonight, we're talking, in her quote, she says, parents are to teach young people, but we're going to be highlighting some things that happen when it comes to adult education, and that's very key and important. And Dr. Brent Lewis, that's what he's here tonight to do, and go over some things with us after we kind of jump in and do a little digging and getting to figure out a little bit more about how did we get to Dr. Brent Lewis and some of the other great things that he's done so far. And you guys are going to be really surprised to find out his age at the end of this all, because he has a awesome background and awesome resume. And so right quick, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a moment of silence just out of respect and in reference to Dr. Martin Luther King and Dr. Maya Angelou. All right, and so thank you guys for taking that moment of silence with me. And so it's time to dig. So Dr. Brent Lewis.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I was getting ready to say you got to make some noise because, I love to call people out. And so with that being said, the journey to doctor is not a short journey. Anybody that's aware of, the academic commitment that you have to have and the things that take place to get to that point, it takes some time. Like, this is not something that you just, oh, okay, I'm going to just go do this and bam, it go, like tying your shoe. And so I understand, just highlighting some of your background, like, you're straight Aggie bred. Like, you're straight out of A&T just with it all. You have a bachelor's degree in sociology. You obtained your master's in adult education and then a PhD in leadership studies. And even in the midst of all of this, you have dedicated a full-time work ethic, not just to A&T, but to UNCG, North Carolina Central University, and if I have it correct, you're currently at Fayetteville State University. So you are stomping across all the yards throughout North Carolina. And if I'm not mistaken, you did highlight and do some things in Atlanta, Georgia. So you're really big on academics, really big on leadership, adult education, and pushing forward and inspiring and mentoring others. And we'll talk about that a little bit after our break. But before that, tell us a little bit about you. Like, I know plenty of things, and so it's not going to be fair if I share. I'll let you do it, and I'll highlight some stuff because before we even got to the doctor, you were always an awesome young man, young individual, and doing things at an early age, and a senior ministry, and doing so many other things. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, listeners. As Crystal said, we are cousins. I've known her entire life. I'm old. We both grew up small town, Eden, North Carolina. Grew up in the church. My parents were very big on singing and music, so I began singing at the age of 3. And sang and directed choirs at church. We were very heavily in church. But also, education was very important to my parents. During the summer school, we had to read. When we were out of school, we still had to go to the library. My father would still find book reports for us to do. So school was really important. Both of my parents went to college. They both went to Barton College in Wilson, North Carolina, so they pushed education. When I graduated from high school, when I was in high school, I was very involved. In middle school, I was on the dance team and in chorus. In high school, I was on the dance team. I was on the cheerleading team. I was in chorus. I was in Student Government Association or Student Council. You name it, I did it. I was very involved at Moorhead High School. left Morehead High School, went to North Carolina A&T to get my bachelor's degree. In the midst of that, barriers happened, right? So, about to graduate high school, my father died. And so that kind of shifted, how I felt about leaving home, but I still went. And I think going to college helped me process my father's death and process through grief because it was something that I wanted to do. And I knew my father wanted me to get an education. Going to get a master's was just kind of like on the fly. It wasn't really planned. I just didn't have a job lined up when I graduated with my bachelor's. So I said, okay, I'm going back to school. I kind of fell into adult education because I had a graduate assistantship on my campus working in housing. And that's where I realized I had a passion for working with college students. And that was in 2010. So we fast forward to 2018. I still work with college students. I've worked at 5 institutions since then, and 5 four-year institutions. I have taught at a community college, adult learners. And for me, adult education is not always formalized. I've taught Sunday school. I've gone to Sunday school. I've taught in community agencies about life experiences and life skills to adults. So when we say adult education doesn't always mean a formal setting. Adult education can be at church. Adult education can be professional development on your job. Adult education can be going to a parenting session with your spouse about skills to be better co-parents. So adult education, anything. Getting the doctorate, I didn't really decide on that until I started working in adult education, and I realized that for doors to be open for me in certain avenues in my field of higher ed, I needed something past my master's. So I started looking at doctorate programs, and A&T wasn't my number one choice, but again, life happens, so you have to be prepared when life happens. I moved to Atlanta, took a job there, started a program there, but for me, I felt like I was needed more at home because my sister was sick, and I felt like I needed to do both, get my degree, but also be a support system for family. And so thus I moved back to North Carolina, spent 3 years in my doc program, and I pushed myself to get in and get out. I wasted no time, went to school full-time, worked full-time, still helped with my sister when she was sick. Always been a family-oriented person, helped my home church, helped the church where I currently go in Fayetteville. I'm a very busy person, but I try to make time to live life, and because I realized when my father died that life is short.
Wow, that's amazing, and I was wondering if you were going to share that insight. And it's funny the dynamic that we. I just want to explain a little bit of the dynamic that we have between us. Because I've talked a little bit about how some of the things I've done. So when I said I was a cheerleader and I was in chorus, and when I say I literally followed in my older cousin's footsteps, that's how it happened. He is an older brother to me, more so than he is a cousin. And we come from a huge family. And the funny thing is his father was one of the oldest, and my mom is the youngest. She's a baby girl. And our relationship basically mirrors the relationship that they had. And so a lot of the things that my mother sought out to do as the woman that she is, she credits that a lot to Dr. Brent Lewis's father, the late Glenn Lewis, as well as Brent's mother, Nancy Lewis. And she has provided, she's an entrepreneur herself, and she has provided many opportunities and many doors where I've been able to work alongside of her and learn different tools. That's one of the things we did when we were growing up was, my aunt did taxes. She sold insurance. She's had a daycare. She's done so many things and been really successful, and so she's always been an open book. And so you do come from an awesome set of parents and an awesome background that doesn't mean things have always been perfect for you. And something that hit even close to home was when Brent lost his father. It was not just a hard time for him because Brent was in the 12th grade and finishing off and getting ready to go to college. And so when Brent lost his father, it was actually my birthday, which is February 27th. And so what always seemed like a joyous time for us turned into a hard time for our family. So when our birthday comes around, we do celebrate that it's my birthday, but we do also take a time to reflect back to someone that was so special that really planted some seeds and other individuals throughout the family. So a lot of our family and their education and background, we can credit that to Dr. Brent Lewis's father for being a leader and you know, to his brothers and sisters, to his nieces, and those that haven't met him, but they are following our footsteps and things that we do when it comes to business and comes to life, because he was such an awesome person in the church, and he traveled and he stayed really busy despite being a husband and being a father and being in so many other things. So that's really amazing, Brent, that you took time to say that, because in the midst of everything that was going on, you really stepped out on faith and pushed forward. And you know, that's the real definition of beast mode, pushing forward despite everything else that's going on in life. And so, you know, I had to go after you. We commend you here. You know, beast mode is nothing but family, beast mode mindsets. And so we're always looking to just embrace and to thank those for moving forward, for following what it is that God has led you to do. And I know there's so much more, like you're just getting started. And I'm not going to pick on you tonight because Brent's been singing since he was 3. And, like, Brent normally gets caught on the sing. And so I tried to ask Brent to sing for us, and he didn't want to sing tonight, y'all. Brent, you still don't feel like singing?
No, I do not.
I know you don't. And we're not going to put you in spotlight tonight. But that's okay, y'all, because we're going to have Brent back, or put it this way, I'm going to surprise him. And so we're going to do something a little special. Won't be tonight, but Brent's always just around the corner listening in. And so we'll make sure you listeners get to hear just how his vocals are set up. I'll put it that way, because you'll be really shocked and amazed. And so, and he doesn't do it alone. He has an awesome sister who's not too far on his. She's right there on the coattails with being Dr. Monique Lewis. And so, you know, doctor is one of them things that's just about to be in the family for real, like all over the place. And she's an awesome, amazing woman. And you guys are going to get to meet her later and hear her story, because when she got sick, her brother stepped in, family stepped in, and done some amazing and awesome things. And she's an awesome and amazing person. And their testimonies really are parallel, and they cross over. They weave in and out. And so, Brent, I will say this. What was one of, like, the funnest things that you experienced while being at A&T? I'm just saying, because you went there undergrad, your master's, your doctorate program led you back there. And so, you know, as much as I love you, there is a rival here, because, you know, I'm an Eagle. And, yeah, you did some work at Central, and, yeah, that was good. You know, I'm not taking that away from you. But I'm just saying, you know, the Eagles, it's you know, I'm just going to say it like that. So that's one of the few things that I didn't kind of follow. And that's okay, though. That's okay. We all have to go with where we feel like we belong. But what was one of the good experiences that you recall from A&T?
I would say one of the best parts of A&T was joining the gospel choir. So my freshman year, I joined the gospel choir at A&T, and I met a lot of lifelong friends through me joining the gospel choir. I also came to A&T with friends. So My best friend
Okay.
Chamberlain was already there.
Okay.
So
Share the
I
list.
kind
Yeah.
of learned how to navigate A&T with her because she'd already been there for a year. And then I had a friend from high school named Tanika who came in with me to A&T. So I had a couple of high school friends come, had a couple of friends already there. So we built a network of friends really quickly. Some of Chandeline's friends were in the gospel choir. Like Chandeline's freshman year roommate was already in gospel choir, so she introduced me to a lot of the people in the gospel choir, made me feel really comfortable. But that's where I made my network, was in gospel choir. I met my friend LaQuesta. I met my friend David. I met my friend Greg through David. I met my friend Will. My friend Keisha. My lifelong friends. I still have lifelong high school friends, but my lifelong friends, ride or die, I met in college. And so I would say the best experience was meeting great people who I still talk to almost every day or at least once every other week. We still go on trips together. We all link up during homecoming. My college friends, even the ones that I don't see and talk to on a daily basis, are like family, just like my blood family. And I think that's the beauty of HBCUs, because regardless of the one you go to, whether it's North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, Winston-Salem State, I think the common thread is the family-like sense of community, and you build those family bonds, even with your professors and your staff on the campus, pretty quickly.
Yes. I think that's awesome that you highlighted that. And y'all, because Brent's family, unfortunately, when Brent brought friends home, they became my friends. Or put it this way, I kind of put them through a little test because my personality real strong and my face be real tight, and I be like, "Who are you? Why are you here? That's my cousin. He belongs to me." So that's why we always say, like, he's like a brother and I'm like a sister. And he got me beat by a few years, and I always love when my birthday comes right before his. I'm like, oh, I'm close to your age. It's like, but I'm still older. It's just like I said, awesome person, and I can honestly say a lot of the people that you highlighted are some. Tanika, Will, Quessa, David, are some awesome individuals. And let me tell you about that Quessa and that David and that Will, the way they vocals are set up, I'm just saying, all of y'all are some dynamic and amazing singers, and I know over time you guys have spread out, but education is one of those things that not just rings near dear to you, but to a lot of your friends. And so if you look at your network and your tribe of people, that family and that support system that you've created around you, you find people that hold multiple degrees, that have awesome careers, and have made awesome strides in entrepreneurship, and have awesome singing ministries themselves. And so it's amazing. And I always say birds of a flat feather do flock together. And so your flock is amazing, and you guys have soared high and are continuing to soar. So with that being said, and you gave you've been real modest tonight, but that's okay since you want to be modest or whatnot, and just give the people a little bit about you. But what we're about to do is we're going to turn it all the way up, because everything that Brent has went through is going to be kind of somewhat highlighted in the song that we're about to play and going to break with. You Can't Stop Me by Andy Mineo. It is a hype song. You know how we do here. We like to turn up a little bit on a Wednesday night and just keep things moving. So when we come back, we're going to dig into our topic for the night, which is adult education. Brent has some key things he wants to share with us, some things that you may want to think about. And like you said, it doesn't have to be formalized. Adult education is basically seeking out knowledge, after 18 and after high school ends, and that comes in many forms in many different ways. And so we'll be right back right after this.
Can't stop, won't stop. Where the brakes at? I give him that diddy bop. Like, take that, take that, take that, take that. I'ma put in work. I'ma do that ASAP. Throw my faith in rap. But it say, don't say that, huh? What I'ma turn down for? I feel like Shaq in 9-4. Breaking glass in that black boat. I like Kobe in Toronto, huh? Dropping 81. Yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake. Sleeping on it, should've stayed awake, huh? Everybody make mistakes like VJs. Trying to say my name, it's Minio. Say it with me, Minio. Okay, great. 2 forks high, raise the stakes. Risk it all, I take the hate. This the winning team, get the Gatorade. My guy good, but he's not safe, nah. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. Oh, that's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. You can't stop me. You're my biggest opponent. You know me, I know you, we know it. Whenever I fail, you always been there to simply remind me I've blown it. You don't see when I'm growing. You don't see where I'm going. You only see in the moment. You know my mistakes. You never let go it. Don't cease to amaze me, and it drive me crazy. Did you catch every detail that I missed in the songs I'm making? Saying you will never write a verse like Kendrick, never be the rapper I got from Hendrix. Top 10 alive, you will never be mentioned. Why aim so high, won't survive the trenches. Plus, you a Christian, Andy. They will never listen, Andy. Plus, we a pigment, Andy. You don't got skill, you a gimmick, Andy. Well, if I listen to you and everything you put in my ear, I'll be living like woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'll be paralyzed by fear. Ain't that the truth? If I quit, the only way I lose. I got 2 choices when I do this: make moves or make excuses. If you know who I'm talking about, then you got me. My biggest enemy is me, and even I can't stop me. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. Ooh, that's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. You can't stop me. If I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, can't stop. Oh no, won't stop. I said if I cannot stop me, then you'll never stop me. Oh no, you can't stop me. Ooh, that's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. I'm my biggest problem. You don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. You can't stop me.
And so we're back. And I told y'all we was getting hyped tonight, and we switched it up. So you can't stop me, Dr. Brent Lewis. What you think about our song?
I loved it. I think it was very motivating for people. You can't stop me means no matter the adversity that comes my way or the struggles, I'm going to push forward.
Of course, and that's what we're doing here. We're pushing forward. We're talking about your awesome, amazing journey and testimony about how nothing stopped you, not even losing a parent, so the death of your father, things that may not have went right in the midst of pursuing your degree, um, how you were able to build, nothing stopped you. You turned it all the way up. You went as far as you could possibly go. And so, don't get me wrong, anybody that went to school, or let's just say this, adult life period, debt is real, and school is not cheap. And so, it didn't matter the cost or the price. You understood at a young age from things that were instilled in you that you can't put a price on education. It's one of the things that you will never be able to truly just pay for, because it's priceless, but it's very necessary and key to moving forward in life. And so tonight we're talking about adult education, highlighting a few things just to think about and things to look at as individuals are pushing forward. So I know you were saying that you made a comment, and when you were talking about yourself in your degree, degree, how adult education doesn't have to be formalized, and so you kind of highlighted a few different ways in which it could be formalized. In which you can actually do that. So, what's your current position with Fayetteville State University? What do you actually do with them, and how are you leading in that sense?
So my title does not give a lot of credit to all the stuff that I actually do, but my official title at Fayetteville State University is the Director of Cultural Programs. And so under my leadership, I plan diversity and inclusion programs for the campus, meaning topics around race relations, programs that talk about inequality and inequity around culture. We discuss how cultures are different and how you have to learn how to navigate different spaces depending on where you are, and how you handle business in different settings. For example, if some of my students are doing a study abroad or a internship out of the country, you have to learn how to navigate that space. So if you're in China, everything that's culturally appropriate in the United States is not culturally appropriate there. So helping students who have never left North Carolina, some of them, understand differences, and people are going to be different from you, and you have to learn how to interact with people who you don't maybe understand. Another part of my job is engaging the LGBTQ population on campus. I've been tasked with creating a safe space on our campus to provide programs and activities and resources to students. So some of the things my office provides is brochures about coming out, brochures about being Black and lesbian or Black and gay. We also talk about what it means to the religious community and how do you navigate being in church or being Christian. Another part of my role is engaging our off-campus students. So Fayetteville State University is about 80% non-residential students, meaning the large majority of our students live off campus. So I provide resources and services to students who don't live on campus, such as bus passes so that they can get back and forth to campus, because as we think through adult education, one of the barriers to adult education as an adult learner is if I don't have a car, if I don't have transportation, but I want to go to school, how do I get there? If I don't have, family support or the money to do an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi every day. So that was something that we thought through intentionally and said, we'll provide bus passes through our city bus for students to get to school. Those are the type of services that I provide students. I also do orientation for our new students in the fall. So when we have new students at the university, I train orientation leaders who essentially show them around campus, take them to events during the first week, answer questions that the students have, show them where their classes are, answer questions that their parents have. Many of my students, their parents did not go to college, so they may be the oldest in the family in terms of their siblings, They may be the first one to experience it, so their parents don't necessarily know what to experience or what they're going to experience when it comes to housing, signing up for a meal plan, completing financial aid, and what that FAFSA application looks like. It's very difficult and intimidating if you've never done it before. You don't know what you're doing. So my job really is to ensure students are successful from the time they come to orientation and sign up for classes and move in August to the time they leave as a senior at graduation. From start to finish, my role is to help push them forward and be successful and ensure that they feel supported at the institution, help their parents feel empowered to leave them on campus with us, and know that we will do everything we can at the institution to ensure their child is safe and successful. Because I have students from D.C., New York, Florida.
Oh, wow.
They're a long way from their parents and a long way
right.
from home. So my job is to help create a home environment so that they don't feel homesick and want to leave the college, or they don't feel like there's no one there that understands them.
That's really amazing. So I mean, you like beast mode, like I told y'all, he ain't playing no games. So Brent, you like the one-stop shop. I was telling you, you'd be like, hey, I'm a freshman on the yard. Show me where student union is. Then I need a bus pass. Then I need somebody to help me figure this out because I'm about to lose my mind. My parents just left, and I just need some help. Like I just want a family. Like I want a family away from family, a home away from home. And so it's amazing that you do all those things. Gosh, I mean, it ain't but 24 hours in a day. Like
it's very difficult sometimes to manage all of it. But I'm really good about time management and like really planning out my day. I try to get a lot of work done in the morning because my students are in class most of the time. But after lunch, my office is busy because most of my students are out of class and they're ready to talk or they're ready to, I have some computers in my office, so sometimes students come in and, they might want to do some homework and they don't want to do it in the library or they don't want to do it in their room. I have a flat screen TV in the lounge part of my office, so sometimes students come in between classes and just watch TV or talk to friends so that it's kind of an in-between. And because I work with commuter students on campus, sometimes people come to my office between classes so they don't have to go home and come back to campus. So my lounge area. So sometimes my commuter students will come, set up shop, do homework, go grab some lunch, eat lunch, watch TV, because I remember when I lived off campus at A&T, if I went home, I wasn't coming back to campus. So
right.
I try to keep them something to do. There's a lounge that's near my office where students can hang out, play cards, have activities. Sometimes we have snacks in there, some coffee, different things to keep, especially my older students. I have a lot of older students. Fayetteville is a huge military city. We have a huge military base. So I have a lot of veterans on campus and a lot of military spouses who go to the school as well.
Oh wow, that's really awesome. And so it sounds like you actually don't get to clock in and clock out, because my understanding of you just as a person and anybody that follows you on social media and things like that as well is you're always open anytime, day or night. Well, you may have a shut-off period, but still, if somebody really needed you, you're never more than a phone call or a text away, or if needed, a ride away. And that says a lot, not just because of your position, but about your character, your personality, and your foundation. And I know a lot of that deals with the fact that you are a Christian and someone who seeks God and puts God first in all that you do. And so, being able to be in a position that empowers so many, I know it just excites you to see that person move forward. that you met them on day one, and they may have not had everything in them to actually push forward, but just knowing that you're part of their story and someone that they could come back and say, hey, he talked to me, hey, he opened up his office when I didn't have the gas to go back home and come back and go to that next class, or I just wanted to rest, or I just needed somebody to talk to, and I don't know what he was going through, but he opened up, and took that time out of his schedule. So hats off to you for just being in beast mode. It's a Lewis thing. I'm telling you, it's a Lewis thing. But outside of that, what are some challenges that you have realized a little bit more in detail when it comes to adult education? I know some things we talked about was commuting. Me as a mom, I know that's another challenge too that some people have as well. What are some other things that you could list off that you have realized are challenges when it comes to adult education in the setting that you're in, which is a lot more formalized?
I would say, of course, transportation. I would say a huge barrier for some students in formalized education is financial. So, do I have the finance to go to school? A lot of students don't realize. I have a large number of transfer students. A lot of students don't realize that when you transfer from school to school, you lose credit. So you're starting over a bit. A lot of students don't realize that when you're pursuing an undergrad degree, that there's one pot of money, and so we have some trade schools around here, like in Fayetteville, there's a school called Mont. When I lived in Greensboro, there was Virginia College. Some of these schools are for-profit institutions, and so I've had students who've come to four-year traditional public institutions that have come from those institutions, as well as they may have went to a community college, and they're still using financial aid to pay for their four-year institution, not realizing that that money runs out. And so you may be like a year left in your degree, but you've run out of financial aid. And once you've exhausted that pot, there's no more money unless you go get a private loan. Well, then that goes into credit. A lot of people don't have the credit to get a private loan by themselves. Then you need a co-signer who has the credit and who is willing to sign the dotted line behind you to say, if you don't pay this back, I have to pay it back. So everybody doesn't have that family support to have somebody in their family. Like I got a private loan in undergrad for a summer school one year. So my mom co-signed for it, but everybody doesn't have that. So finance is a huge one. And financial literacy is a barrier because many people sign up for student loans and they don't realize what long-term implications student loans have. Student loans gain interest. So if you borrow $15,000, you would not pay $15,000 back. You will probably pay $40,000 back by the time you pay it back. So, those are things that are challenges for people because sometimes we're not as knowledgeable or aware of what we're getting into. I would say another challenge is being married. And I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but it can be a barrier, having a family, because older students with a family and children and coming to school and working, it's hard to balance all of that because I'm a mom or I'm a dad, then I'm a husband or I'm a wife, then I'm a student, and then I may go to church and I'm active in my church. So how do you balance your time? How do you make time to do homework when your child is sick? Or how do you tell your professor I'm running late because I have to drop my child off, or me and my spouse only have one car, so I drop my spouse off at work before I come to class, and all professors aren't understanding. So there's a lot of challenges to formalized education. It might be the campus doesn't have enough parking for the amount of students. So some people may have to take a shuttle in from a parking deck that's about 15 minutes down the street from the school, depending on the size of the institution, like at USC Chapel Hill, where they do a lottery for parking. So there are a number of challenges that students face when engaging in formalized education.
Oh wow. I never thought about that, but it maybe that's just due to my actual status. About I mean, I am a mother and I do have a family, and I understand those barriers that kind of place just when it comes to taking care of certain tasks. And you're right, it can be about having that family, but marriage, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I didn't stop to take time to think about that as far as how that can play a part in for a married couple, because a lot of times too, what I'm starting to see now is you may have in married couples, I've seen a couple of different individuals actually kind of one goes to school while one works, or and then they may trade off, or the one while the other one's trying to go back and finish up, or whatever it is they need to do, because like you said, there are kids and their kids and their bills, and when we're adults, we have more than just the college to pay for. We have the cars and the home, the lights, the water, just your basic stuff. And so a lot of adults may sacrifice vacations and other things just for education itself. And so that's really nice, like that you highlighted some of that and how it plays a part in formal education. What would be one of your biggest things? What's one of the biggest resources that individuals could seek after when they're on campus, or a place that they can actually go, or something that they can look for, not just maybe at Fayetteville State, but at other institutions? What will be one of those things that you'll say, hey, you should always go here or look to this place for some guidance?
One place that I would definitely suggest people go is utilize the services that are on campus. For example, I work in student engagement, and our job is to engage students and get them involved on campus. Research shows that students who are more engaged and involved in extracurricular activities on campus or co-curricular are more likely to finish than students who only go to class and go home. So at whatever institution an individual is at, I would really support them going to get involved on campus, get involved in a club or organization, whether that's within your major or a social club on campus. Because for me, being in college, the gospel choir kept me engaged. Even when I moved off campus, I moved off campus as a sophomore. So it would have been easy for me to just go to class, go to work, and go home and never stay on campus for anything. But being in the choir, it forced me to stay on campus on Tuesdays because we had choir practice on Tuesday evenings. And it forced me to come to campus on Saturday mornings because we had choir practice on Saturday mornings. And it forced me to be at events on campus because we might have to sing. Or, it keeps people actively involved. It helps you meet people and network with people outside of your major. Because if you just go to class, you only know people in your major. I would also highly suggest that people utilize counseling services. When you're a student at a college, you pay for those services. So they're free to you in your tuition once you pay your tuition. Counseling is very expensive. Therapy is very expensive if you're not in college. Like just anyone on the street wanting to go to counseling, sit on the couch, that's a very expensive bill. So utilize those services while you're in school. They're trained counselors. They have to have their license. They have to have passed all the state tests for wherever they are. They're credentialed to be a therapist. Use those individual services. Also, career services. People go to college and go to formalized education mainly for the purpose of getting a career, a job. Utilize career services to get internships, study abroad opportunities, connections to jobs. We host job fairs on campus called career fairs every year, once a semester. Go to those. Make those networks early in college, like freshman, sophomore, junior year, so that when you're a senior and you're looking for a job, this person from this employer already knows who you are. So you stand out amongst the applicants of people who are applying for a job. Because in this day and age, one out of three people, I would say, have a bachelor's degree. So you're competing against thousands of people for one job. So you need something that makes you stand out. Also, that going back to that engagement piece, showing on your resume and your transcript how involved you were on campus and keeping your GPA high looks good to employers because it shows you can manage your time, you're dedicated, you care about things, you're consistent, and you're responsible. There's a number of services on campus that students should use. There's supplemental instruction where if you're having a hard time in a course, you can go get tutoring for free. It's included in your tuition. So no one should be failing a class because there's services on campus that provide extra assistance for students, even if you're not getting it from your instructor. You can get
that you're already paying for.
You already pay for it. There's so many services on college campuses for students, and some services are specialized. People who were once in the Army or veterans, there are specialized services just for them. So, find wherever school you're at, whether it's a community college, a for-profit institution, a four-year private, four-year public, whatever type of school you're at, and find those services that will help you be successful.
That's really amazing. So you guys heard it too. Utilize your resources. Do some digging. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Be smoted out. Be that person that say, hey, I have no clue what's going on. Somebody help me, please. And seek that out. It's okay not to know everything, because understand that 9 times out of 10, if you feel like that, then you're not the only person that feels like that. And so you said something that's really major, not just about education, but even when it comes down to church and other things, but even for us that are just that may not be on the education thing, but we're working every day. You have to, engaging is important. Now, don't get me wrong, there's introverts, there's extroverts, there's ambiverts, those that battle in between. I'm a both. I battle in between. And so, but I find that, my moments to myself are quiet and necessary and are needed, but it's those extrovert exercises that allow me to stretch my mind a little bit more, make those necessary connections, and have also to open up some doors and opportunities for me. So I'm glad that you said that reaching out resources and reaching out to others is very key and important. And the last thing I'm just going to follow up with, outside of formal education, you did highlight talking about just some other things. I know there's some other programs that other people can look for in their cities and their areas, which can make a big difference. One of those are CNA classes, phlebotomists, other tech courses and stuff like that. Have you come to find that has been that those actual programs, from just your personal observation, they've been pretty helpful with adult education and those individuals looking to make changes in their careers and stuff? How do you feel about those?
Absolutely. I think vocational or trade education absolutely is a major part of adult education. Even people who want to do hair, that's not formalized 4-year degree, but you're going to cosmetology school. Or a mechanic, again, not a 4-year degree, but it's a trade. It's part of adult education. Barber school. There are a number of careers associated with adult education that are not so formalized, but it leads to people being able to go to work and make a living. And even in employment that doesn't require a degree, many companies, once you get hired, have you go through professional development workshops or training. When I worked for AT&T in college, we went through 3 months of training. That's adult education, because we were in the classroom for 3 months, in addition to going out on the floor. But A lot of it was classroom, learning what you're supposed to be doing. That's adult ed. Um, Adult ed now is not just formalized to a college setting. Hospitals, there's adult education that happens there, even when you're the patient. A doctor is educating you on what's going on with you. That's adult education. Um, Going to the library, the public library in your city, and checking out books, or going to a seminar or workshop that's at that library, that's adult education for free. Um, it doesn't have to be aligned with a career or with going to college. Going to church is adult education. Adult education was actually birthed out of the church by teaching people to read the Bible. So,
Wow. Yes.
education is very broad.
Yes,
Very broad.
that's amazing. That's amazing that you say that, because I think a lot of times what comes with adult education, the reason I hit that is because a lot of times when people say adult education, they think, okay, maybe it's just a person getting their GED, or or they're just going off to college or getting their second degree or whatever. But it comes in so many different ways, and so even if you're adult education, even if you're just an adult and say, hey, I don't feel like going to school, I don't feel like doing this or that, there are simple things that you can do on your own, whatever your favorite hobby is or whatever it is. Read. Public libraries are in your area, and they are free resources. They offer internet and so many other things. There's so many ways in which you can enrich your life, not just for you, but for your families and kids, and push forward. Education is a big part and is necessary. And even when you go to work every day, nothing at work stays the same. So when you say, hey, I can't do it, hey, I can't take that class, understand, like Dr. Brent Lewis just stated, adult education comes in many different forms. And so you got training on your job. You get ongoing training on your job. Things change and things evolve. And so that becomes a part of your adult education process. And if you can get up and go to work and commit to that for 15 years, 20 years, 10 years, I don't care if it's just 30 days, still you're committing to improving something in your life because you want to make sure your income comes in. But there's nothing wrong with taking time to invest in yourself and invest in your mind and taking things to the next level and to the next step. So amplify what's already there, and we're turning it up all throughout the month of April. And so right quick, Brent, before we sign off, if anybody has any questions, I know you're a very open person and one of the things you love to do is talk with individuals and give them insight and tools and resources, or point them in the right direction to continue out on their journey, whether it's education or life in general. But anybody that wants to connect with you, can you just tell us what's the best way to connect with you, or how people can connect with you or get in touch with you, maybe on your social media platform?
Sure. So I would say the best way to connect with me would be one, email. I am very active with checking my email, and my email address is BELEWIS87@gmail.com. Another way to find me is on Instagram. My handle on Instagram is Dr. That's Dr. BEE _ Lewis, LEWIS. You can also follow me via Facebook. My name on Facebook is Brent Lewis. And that's pretty much the social media that I use. I used to have Twitter, but I really don't use it, so there's no need of me giving that out.
Well, that's okay. And also, too, even if you forget Brent's information or want to be connected with him, like I said, I'm going to get him back, and he's going to sing for y'all, too, so y'all can hear the other part. But also, too, just message me. Message Matt Broadcasting. Go to the page. Beast Hope Mindset. Leave a message in the group or on my page, and I will connect you with Dr. Brent Lewis. He's an awesome person, has some awesome resources, and tonight was just a highlight. So we appreciate you taking time out with us. And right quick, in about 5-10 seconds, can you tell us what's next?
So what's next? I don't know. I know I will always work with college students. I love my job and I love what I do. That doesn't mean I'm stuck to where I am. I think I'm an evolving person at all times. So I'm open to where life takes me. I've never been scared to move around. I've probably moved 4 times in the last 5 or 6 years. So
Yeah,
I'm open
yeah.
for me and the next step in my career, whatever that may be. I'm done with formalized education, no more school, but definitely open to consulting with different universities, consulting about adult education and what it means, engaging people on discussions on equity and inclusion and diversity. So what's next? God only knows, but I'm open to whatever that is.
All right, and just to highlight all of this and close it out tonight, Dr. Brent Lewis, share with everyone your lovely age. Well, I think Dr. Brent Lewis, he's off with us, or something may have
I'm still
happened.
sorry. Sorry,
Uh,
I'm 31.
you are 31 and you've done all these amazing things. I told you, you guys would be pretty shocked. He's pushed forward and he doesn't stop, and he's on to some great things. And so, thank you once again, from me, your host, Chrissy Renee, the Beast Road family. We send all types of love, best of wishes, best of luck to you. Thank you for being with us tonight. And we look forward to speaking with you later and hearing your